Welcome to In the Moment with Dr. Brett Jones. If this is your first time joining, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Basically, this series is going to be dedicated to showing you what the chiropractor sees when assessing somebody's spine, assessing movement, and why we would provide certain adjustments. I was just in LA at a mastermind group, and during that mastermind group, I was adjusting. And I was just talking about the things that I was seeing, and people were blown away. So we wanted to offer this to you. If this is something that you're inspired by and need help finding a chiropractor, please leave a comment. And of course, you're always welcome to visit the Source Chiropractic in Oakland, California. So for episode 1 here, we're gonna be joined by Nateur. Nateur, if you wanna stand up for me. We're gonna start with just assessing Nature's gait. So Nateur, if you just wanna go ahead and walk down that way and then walk back towards me. So when I'm watching him walk, I'm seeing better SI motion, which is sacroiliac motion on the left side, a fixation on the right. I'm seeing also a slightly elevated shoulder on the right side. I imagine that he has some pec major minor pain, like right in here. And again, if you just watch people walk long enough, you'll start to pick up on what is going on with them. So go ahead and lay face down, and we'll see if we can confirm some of these things. So again, on watching walk, I saw an elevated shoulder, and then I also saw a fixated ilium, which again is the outside layer of the actual lower body here, or I should just say this region. So you have the ilium, and then on the inside you have the sacrum, and so you call it the SI joint when those two come together. So often, many people that watch somebody adjust, you'll notice that chiropractors often check the feet. And what we're looking for is to see if there's a leg length discrepancy, meaning that is one leg slightly longer or shorter than the other one. Now, what I often do is I also go ahead and palpate the Achilles tendon. Now, I often get a lot more information from the Achilles tendon than I do from the leg length discrepancy, and that's based on knowing posterior chain dynamics. And so what I mean by that is right now when I'm looking at Nature's feet, he's short on the right side. However, as well as being short on the right side, he has a tauter Achilles tendon. Now, unless he had a previous rupture of the tendon, oftentimes what I find is that when ilium rocks back, it shortens the posterior chain from the ischial tuberosity, which can cause a tighter hamstring, calf, and Achilles tendon because they are all continuous. So already, right now, just from feeling an Achilles tendon and from seeing a short leg on the right side, I'm thinking he might have a posterior rotated ilium. And so I could confirm with x-ray, or I could confirm also with some levels of palpation. And so what I would be looking for is that as I sink in a direction that would basically go from a neutral to more of an anterior rock of the ilium on the sacrum, is there more fixation now on the right side than on the left side? And as I sink in on the right, I'm actually feeling it a little bit more on the right. And then I can go and palpate his lumbars. We have 5 lumbar vertebrae. Again, that's probably the lowest level of the spine before you get to the sacrum, and then what turns into the coccyx, also known as the tailbone. And so what I'm finding for Nateur here is right here in this area, he loses some of that bounce and absorbency that we like to see with the spine. So the spine should have a certain level of mobility, stability, and strength. And often at times when we have certain loads of stress or tension or compression, that then we'll start to have what we call adhesions or fixations, or the spine just doesn't move like it should at that point. So I'm gonna go and sink in at the T10, and we're gonna actually find which way does it want to unwind. So for Nateur, it's actually with a counterclockwise torque, and I have a connection on his right TP, and then on the lamina on the left side, then I go through. Now, some chiropractors will have you take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, which can be effective, but what I have found is I'm looking for the window, meaning where does this system open up so that I can then deliver the adjustment. And what you'll find is when you're near the diaphragm, lower T10, T11, T12, that sometimes it's breath held in, sometimes it's breath held out, or somewhere in the middle of those where you'll find the most ease. And so our concept of adjusting is always adjusting into ease, not trying to find resistance, because ultimately, if the universe, which if you study Graham Scar's Biotensegrity, everything in nature is moving towards a state of efficiency. Meaning that if Nature here has a pattern in his system, which we could call a subluxation, and that subluxation is causing interference to the universe being efficient, then it would rather it not be there. And so if it'd rather not be there, once you locate it, how can I sink into an area that's like allowing me in and then make your adjustment? So you find the areas of the tension, compression, dis-ease, and then sink into them in a way that it finally starts to open up and then deliver the adjustment. We call that moment where things start to open up the Kairos, which is also the perfect moment. All right, so go this side up for me on your side. And so since Nature has a posterior rotated ilium, we're going to make a side posture adjustment with him. So bring your hips a little closer to me. Perfect. Right there and there. And again, we have a style of adjusting that we typically don't torque people, meaning I don't want to pin upper body and then rotate lower body, because what I found is that can cause strain in the mid back and low back. And so what we typically do is try to keep shoulders and hips close to neutral, roll, sink, and compress. And so it's a little bit different than you might be used to be seeing, but it's often more comfortable. It just requires the chiropractor to be a lot faster and more precise. And so we're going to adjust this ilium. So I'm connecting to the outside of his ilium, rolling, looking for that opening, and then go. Whew, on your back. Felt that one, huh, big guy? Yeah, buddy. Whew. So you could do a post check on the legs. When I first started, I did a lot of post checks. How did I make sure I cleared it? But you can also do a post check when the person is laying face up. And what you'll start to find is how clean did that adjustment feel? So ultimately listening, because you want to know that, did I go through the joint surface the way that I intended to? But again, how did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? How did I know I accomplished what I want to accomplish? You could do a post check on the feet, because he started with the right short. Now in this position, his legs are even. And now we're just doing some general palpation again. I tend to check tone first. So life is represented by tone. And what you'll find is that there should be a nice balanced tone, almost like a well-tuned guitar, right? That if you struck it just right, the music is played beautifully throughout. Now, when you have a system that has dysfunction, dis-ease, subluxation, what you'll find is that there's certain muscles that might be firing more than others. We call that a spastic muscle or a hypertonic muscle. What you're looking for is the right contraction, that you have like the right tension of the guitar string so that music can be beautifully played throughout the system. And what I'm finding is that there's an area where there's dissonance. There's an area where there's not that correct tone, and really it's hyperspastic muscle, which then if I actually palpate, I can actually feel the distortion in the fascia. And if I palpate even a little deeper, now I can actually start to feel that there's a fixation as I put him into slight rotation away. The joint does not want to move in that direction. And so what we have is a unilateral facet dysfunction at the C6, C7 vertebra. Now to be able to adjust just that facet, I need to come up this direction. If I come through, I'll adjust both. And for Nature right now, I just want to adjust just the one. And the thing that makes chiropractic different than other manipulative therapies is that it's our ability to be precise. And so if we just want to adjust just the one facet, can we? And we should be able to with enough training. So it's right here. So in and out, laser precision, C6 on C7, just on that right side. And then recheck the neck. And now as I unload the cervicals, I'm actually feeling, what I'm feeling when I do this motion, nice. When I do this motion, I want to be able to feel a continuous, basically, distribution of tension and ease all the way from his occiput, which is the base of his skull, all the way down to the sacrum and coccyx, because that's where the spinal cord attaches. So the spinal cord attaches in the cranium, and then C1, sometimes C2, sometimes C5, but then it doesn't really reattach strongly with the outer layer of the spinal cord until you get down into the L5 sacrum and coccyx. And so as you unload, can you feel this continuous line of tension and ease throughout the system? Could recheck the feet. He's perfectly balanced. You can come on up. Whoa! There it is. Tell the good people how that was.
Speechless. It was really good.
A good adjustment will often do that, leave you speechless. So there it is, in the moment. Again, if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe. You're going to want to click that little like button if you're watching this on Facebook. and we look forward to seeing you next time.